Hi there, everyone. I think we're live, so I just wanted to spend a few minutes in the center of the night tonight. Um, we've been on a little bit of an alternative schedule on doing our daily rites and even our Sunday service this week. Hopefully, this week we're going to be back on schedule, and I certainly hope so. There's been many things that have been happening that have interfered with that. Um, Last night we had a very major thunderstorm here at Isis Oasis and in the greater Geyserville area, and really over all of Northern California. I shouldn't just be focusing on what we were experiencing here, but oh my, we certainly were experiencing it here with high winds, sudden rain, and all of these multiple lightning strikes. And we were told by the adjacent fire department that they actually saw lightning hit on our property. So we have definitely been blessed by the sky. I walked through the grounds today, which actually I'm supposed to be staying off 1 foot because I have a problem with it, but I wanted to see if we actually had visible evidence of any of those potential strikes, and I didn't find any. So I'm kind of glad about that, but on the other hand, very early this morning at about 6 a.m. when I stepped out onto my back porch, we'd been having strikes all around us, and I could smell in the air that very distinct odor of ozone. So wherever it certainly struck us closely. And the thing that we're anticipating for the morning is that we may have a repeat performance in terms of the amount of thunder and lightning and even rain that may come through. So we're trying to be alert to that. Um, no need to set our alarm, however, because it definitely will come to our attention if it's anything like last night. And then hopefully that portion of this extreme heat wave will settle down because we've been having temperatures well over 100, and while it hasn't quite reached last year's records where we had a couple of days where we were 112, 114 by our thermometers, not just by the predicted temperatures, we certainly are feeling the warmth and putting on extra efforts to make sure that all of our animals have sufficient misting, sufficient extra water. We're changing our schedules of care for them and trying to make sure that they have everything that they need and that they don't suffer in any way by this unusual weather. But it is something for us to deal with, as you can imagine. But that's part of our work here, and so we do it. So, anyway, let me go ahead and give us the midnight song. If you're really lucky in the early morning, if I think of it, we'll go live during the thunderstorm and do the early morning rite, but we'll see about that. Anyway, Goddess bless. It is midnight, time to go to bed and dream. Dreams are never what they seem. You must dwell on what they mean. It is midnight when you wake up at sunrise. Take the time to analyze, for your dreams are very wise. It is midnight. It is midnight. It is midnight. And one of the things with all these different things happening is that my sleep schedule has been quite disrupted. And sometimes that alone can be really helpful for exploring more dreams. You tend to get into that REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, more readily. And I definitely found this happened to me yesterday when I fell asleep for a short time during the middle of the day, and I had quite an intense dream taking place right here at Isis Oasis, and with many interesting little aspects of it. I'm pleased to say that the vast majority of it was really positive, but it was a little bit unexpected. And whenever I have an intense dream about Isis Oasis, which I do on a fairly regular basis, it's interesting to me because if I share these dreams with anyone that doesn't know what I do or where I am, it sounds like, I've just had this incredible flight of imaginative dreaming. Then there's this giant tree, and then there's these wild cats, and then there's these escaped peacocks, and then there's, these temples. And to someone just listening to it, it's like, oh wow, what an incredible imaginative dream. And but actually, for me, it's like the equivalent of someone saying, oh yeah, and I dreamed I went downtown and I went to my office building, and inside the office building I went up the elevator, and then there was a meeting. And so I'm so fortunate that my prosaic everyday reality is such that you could easily think that I'm, well into this alternative reality of the dream world. And in fact, it's just like, well, I'm dreaming about a peacock that's gotten out, and I had a peacock that got out, and it had to be recaptured and wrangled back into its proper enclosure. And actually, we decided to change its enclosure, and we put it in with a well-established peacock couple, and they all seem to be getting along really well. And so this may have been what that peacock had in mind. And so far that's working really well. And of course we have, the exotic cats, which, are fantastic creatures to interact with. And, we've done a lot of changes and upgrades for their conditions and everything. And so they're really happy right now. But nonetheless, it's not everyone who happens to have those right, oh, and the cats were living right by my house. Well, yes, they are living right by my house. And this is an amazing building as well that was, built now 3 centuries back. We think about the 1880s. And it's built almost so it feels inside almost like a ship of that period. It reminds me of the interior of the Hotel del Coronado, which is this grand hotel that was on the island where I grew up. And, so it has its own magical dimension as well. And that too would, be something that someone would say, oh yes, describe this strange house that you, that couldn't possibly exist in reality. Well, it does. And so it definitely comes through into my dreams. In my dreams, though, there are some areas that do not exist or don't exist quite the same way as they do in reality. And I've discovered that I return to those dream settings of the oasis quite frequently. And in talking with Lady Olivia Robertson, one of the founders of the Fellowship of Isis, she told me that she experienced the same thing about Clonical Castle, that she and her brother both knew that there were what they called extensions that did not actually exist in reality, but they did exist in their shared dream world, and to others as well. Wings of the castle that really weren't there in reality, and yet repeatedly they could go visit in that section, and others could connect to that section as well. So there is a hidden reality to our dreamscape versions of our places, and that is always a very interesting thing to explore. So I hope that you have the opportunity this evening, perhaps, to go to one of the places of your heart that means a great deal to you, and that you can explore in dream, that you can be restored by your connection with that energy and that space, And perhaps you can even discover that there's been some expansions to that very, very much beloved space, perhaps since the last time you went there, or perhaps you are well aware that there are some expansions that don't exist on this plane and that you can explore tonight. So I hope that you have very sweet dreams tonight. I hope for all of those with me here in Northern California, where we may have more lightning and thunder in the morning, that we have good dreams, at least until then, until that clap of thunder wakes us up, and that we're well prepared to deal with what the day may bring. So, Goddess bless all of you. May Isis, Lady of Dreams, be your dream guide. She is said to have communicated extensively with Osiris through the medium of dreams, that he came to both her and Horus to teach and show Horus how to defend himself, and they came to Isis to support her and love her in the dream world. I wish you all that if it is to your soul's benefit, that you make similar connections. Goddess bless and good night and sweet dreams.